Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dyro here with another Options and Play video update. So I hope you're all having a fantastic week. Started off a little bit slower yesterday, but obviously picking up very quick, and just a ton of big names. Seems like at least a handful each night, each morning. So just a super jam-packed week, and uh, what I like to say, and why I do those videos, the earnings on the radar videos on Friday, is just to kind of get that game plan in place, right? Get the game plan in place so like when you get into like the heart of the week and there's hundreds of names reporting, you already kind of know what you're focusing on, right? And one of the names I highlighted in the video on Friday in the earnings on the radar video was this GLW, and um, this is a little bit stranger of a quarter. Certainly, the overall environment, right? The overall lower volatility environment is creating some more choppy trading in a lot of names. There are some really sharp moves, kind of like in individual pockets. Like you get like one off, like huge drop, huge pop, and you know, it's not across the board. It's more specific, and that's why you really need to focus on like the better setups, right? And what's interesting about GLW, and one of the reasons why I was interested in it, is just because the chart. I thought it was setting up technically well, right? You know me, like I like stocks that are in reasonably tight consolidations ahead of earnings. It means that there's a pent up move, right? I like key longer term levels that could potentially be in play, right? And I like a history of a stock moving, right? And GLW had just about all of that. Okay, so let me just talk through this real fast. So first off, history of moving, right? So you had this earnings, right? This earnings, and then this. So over the last 3 quarters, so coming into this week, over the last 3 quarters, GLW had averaged greater than a 3 point move, almost in the order of like 3.5. Okay, so it has had a history, a very consistent history of this is just over the last year, a very consistent history of big moves, right? 3.5 points, monstrous reversal, but about 3.5 points here, 3.5 point pop. So it has a history of big moves. Yet coming into this week, the options were only anticipating about $2. So it's demonstrated multiple times, right, that it can move larger than what's priced in, and you know that's one of the first things. Second thing, tight consolidation, right? So so you can see that the stock has been in this really nice flag, right? Right underneath like this key longer term level of 35. So I say longer term, let's take a quick look so you can see it further back I go. So GLW popped and it was in like this, really reasonably tight. It was still about $2 wide, but reasonably tight consolidation underneath this key longer term level. Stock was priced in at two. It was hanging around in the 33 and a half area into earnings, right? So $2 would put 35 in play. $2 on the downside. $2 on the downside would put the gap in play. So you got a gap on the downside. You have multi-year resistance on the upside. It's been in a 2.5 month consolidation and has a history of large moves. So that's 3 points right there that get me interested in this name, right? So when the options are saying one thing, you think that there could be a larger than anticipated move, right, or a larger than expected move. Then the volatility strategy is the way to go. So straddle or strangle, some combination of a bullish and a bearish bet, right? Because it's not necessarily that you have a direction in mind. It's more that you think that the options are mispriced and the stock could move more than what the options are priced in, right? So as the way as the way it fell today, it actually wasn't that bad of a number. The quarter was in line. The commentary for guidance, I guess, was what really was like the hang up here for traders. So you saw it open, right? It opened into the gap, sank very quick off the open, and closed it perfectly, right? So the low, the 30.36 was the gap. Guess what today's low was, right? 30.36 to the penny. I mean, I love these constant reminders that it's a machine-driven world, but again, you get a gap, right? A drop into the gap, closes it literally to the cent and bounces. I mean, like that's about as nice as you could draw it up, right? I mean, drops, closes the gap, 1 day hold, then you can close out the bear side. Now you can see maybe if it bounces, right? Maybe because it's an Apple supplier, maybe if Apple is decent tonight, or um, maybe if some of like the sentiment improves, right? Maybe you could see it bounce back. But overall, it was priced in $2, ended up moving about 3.5, and that's why volatility strategies or and strangles and straddles are just some of my favorite because, um, I mean, even in this case, I was thinking more that after last quarter could be good, but obviously it was they didn't like it and it would drop, so it's like my bias would have been off, but because you play it both ways, it gives you a chance to capitalize, right? All right, cool. So lots more to watch for this week. Like I said, Apple's a big one tonight, but even outside of Apple, there's plenty of other names that maybe even maybe probably more interesting ones, to be honest. Just names that are typically pretty volatile, have some decent chart setups. So even if you don't really have an opinion on Apple, there's still plenty of other big names, and a lot of names that should have some serious moves. So plenty of action coming up. So lots to look forward to, all right? So questions or comments on GLW, if you guys were in it or if you weren't in it, if you want to talk about something completely unrelated to this, if you just want to bounce an idea off me, reach out. I'd love to hear from you, all right? So have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.